Hey folks, this is Eddie Trunk from That Metal Show and Sirius XM Radio and lifelong Kiss fan. You are listening to the Shout It Out Loudcast with Tom and Zeus.
Shout it out loud, yeah. Shout it out loud, yeah. Shout it out loud, yeah. I like it.
The year is 1987. The album, Among the Living. The band is Anthrax. Welcome to episode 66 of the Album Review Crew, where we will be taking a look at a classic and seminal thrash album by one of the great bands considered to be part of the Big Four. Soon, we're going to be joined by Shout It Out Loudcast Hall of Famer and editor of our #1 Amazon best-selling book, Raise Your Glasses, Nige Savage. But for now, Zeus, it's me and you.
It's not just me and you. It's me, you, and Snoop Dogg.
Guess who's back on the motherfucking podcast?
That's right.
Yep.
So what was the poll from last month's ARC Snoop Dogg Doggy Style?
Yep. So we picked the 4 top songs, as always. The options this time around were Gin and Juice, Who Am I, parentheses, What's My Name, Ain't No Fun, and The Shiznit. So I was surprised by this one. Gin and Juice wins the poll with 63%. So I kind of thought What's My Name would win. But Who Am I comes in at 17%. Ain't No Fun comes in at 14%. And The Shiznit comes in at 6%. Couple comments here. Jocko Johnson, also known as Game Show Lover. He says, while I'm not much of a hip-hop fan, there was definitely some good stuff here. At least this is better than Bad English and Heat.
Ugh.
Good Christ, those were bad. Now you just got to review Sex Packets by Digital Underground. Oh, that's a great album. Vet Halen, and he goes, who? Jeffrey Holder, who was also in the 007 movie Live and Let Die, and he's talking about that big guy who did the 7-Up commercials, like, I didn't even realize that was his name. Herschel Walker Kyler, I've never heard this before. It's a couple months older than me. Honestly, it was horrendous. Ain't No Fun is one of the worst songs I've ever heard. That being said, I definitely enjoyed all 3 hours of the show, and it made my workday go a lot quicker. So thank you. See, that's perfect. I love that you didn't like the album, thought it was horrendous, but still wanted to listen to it. That's great. Conrad Pena says, I got my money on my mind and my mind on my money. Our buddy Steve, the first one that's not for me. It's great that people like different stuff, and you reviewed so many varied albums, but I never got into this kind of stuff. Where is my Bang Tango and Lillian Axe albums?
Oh, God.
But this shows how great you guys are. It's still a great listen. See, those are the best kinds of compliments. I love it. You don't like the album, but you listen because you know you're going to find some entertainment value. So, and you'll do the same when you listen to Among the Living with Nige in a bit. So that's what we got for Twitter this month.
On Facebook, the great Tom Selleck has a photo of the previously mentioned guy there do the 7-Up commercial, whatever his name is, has a photo of him holding a fucking coconut or something. I have no idea.
Yeah, because all of his commercials were like, he was kind of like Caribbean style, like island stuff.
And then he puts that on over on Loudcasters and he writes, Uncola, never have it, never will.
I can't believe we got
that's a Jamaican accent.
Two references to that. Jesus.
I don't know what the fuck. Joe Decker from Fusion Tech.
Yeah, Fusion Tech.
Great episode. Based on what makes you rock hard suggestion, I've watched both Companion and the Netflix show about the Red Sox. Wow to both. I'm not even much of a baseball fan, but this bio is incredible. It is.
Yeah.
And it was so well done that you have both sides of that rivalry talking. Yeah. So that's what made it even special. Gary Capp. I'm not a Snoop fan, but Jeff told me to listen because it's a hilarious episode. That's Gary Capp, Hall of Famer.
That's right.
And Gary, I got your, I think, gift in the mail for the birthday.
Yep.
And I will not open it, nor will I not tell Tom till he gets his. How's that? All right.
I love it.
Fair enough.
Yep. Somebody's got a birthday coming up.
Yep. Denise Sorelli says,
Oh,
I'm
God.
not a fan of rap, but this was hilarious. Jeff definitely has chemistry with you guys. Yeah, we think so too. He does well with us.
Wow. Jeff, be glad. Denise said something good about you.
Yeah, yeah. Freddie Sala says, that was pretty wild. I'm not a fan of the music, but it was always they make it fun to listen to. Thank
Love
you,
that.
Freddie.
I love those kinds of comments. Thank you.
Yeah. And then Paul Heider has that gif of the guy from Office Space listening to rap, and then
I love
black
that.
guys come by and he puts his window up.
What's the window? Yeah. Do you remember what song he's listening to?
Damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
There you go. Yes. Ghetto Boys. Yep.
Yeah. Ryan Crizel writes, I haven't listened to it. Always have to explain to my wife, Snoop was a rapper before he was on every show or sporting event.
That's
She
right.
thought he was just an internet celebrity. My
Oh, my.
wife was sheltered as a child.
Wow.
Thanks, Brian. And back to you, Tom.
All right, let's look what we got on Instagram. Craig AM10. I saw the album being
Craig.
Come on, you know Craig. I saw the album being reviewed and was only going to listen to the Permanent Waves feedback part of the episode and then leave. But somehow I kept listening and quite surprisingly enjoyed the musical elements of the hip hop style. Okay, Grandpa.
I
Do you
quite
like the
fond of
hip-hop?
that hippity hoppy stuff.
However, the lyrics were a total contrast to Permanent Waves. I won't be adding that musical style to my playlist, but I have now been exposed to it. Okay. Oh, here we go. Here comes some hate, Zeus. Brace yourself. First of all, the guy's tagline is Flaming Skull Dude, so you can imagine where this is going. He goes, You won't do Pretty Boy Floyd, but you'll do this crap. I love that. It's fucking great.
Pretty Boy Floyd is your fucking comeback.
That's his comeback. You won't do Pretty Boy Floyd, but you'll do this crap. Okay. Abusement. I laughed my ass off throughout the entire episode. G's up, hose down. Classic. You guys will never have to worry if the time comes and there's nothing left in the Kiss world to talk about. Oh, trust me, we'll never have to worry about that. Balban 1986. Oh, man, this is going to be good. Can't wait to check it out. And that's what we got on Instagram. We got a couple emails here, Zeus. Josh Parham says, Snoop-a-loop. That's from Old School, if you don't remember that reference, when Snoop makes the appearance. Guys, just finished listening to the ARC Snoop Dogg review. First, not a fan of rap, but I do like some of the late 80s, early 90s stuff. I like the singles from this record, but overall, it's just so juvenile. Oh, God. I think I remember Josh talking to us before. You brace yourself for this one. It bothers me that the N-word is used so much, and that white people can't even say it. You couldn't even say the song title. And all this shit about murdering people? Ugh. It bothers me that metal gets maligned as sexist and violent, where metal is nowhere as bad as this. Maybe it's just jealousy. I vote no more rap reviews. Thanks for listening to me vent.
Yeah, you're welcome. We have no problem with that, but no. Coming up next on Fox News, we're going to listen to the Beltway Boys talk about that rappity hippity hop music.
This juvenile murdering music is ridiculous. Now give me Pretty Boy Floyd, you dumbasses.
Yeah.
Oh, Josh, we love you, buddy. Speak your mind. Speak your mind. Speaking of speaking your mind, the Hall of Famer and college legend Murph chimes in.
Oh.
Thank you for taking a walk down memory lane. While this album was not a personal favorite of mine, it triggers specific memories. A young Tom and Zeus playing Sega NHL 94. Zeus doing one-timers with Valerie Kamensky. and drinking from his famous chalice. Yeah. He goes, can't wait for the Fat Boys album review. And one more here from Daniel LeBlanc. Tom and Zeus. Sounds like I am more in line with Tom when it comes to rap. I got this on CD when it was first released, and Lodi Dodi was the track that got me on the first listen. It was cool watching the rap genre grow, and Lodi Dodi was the first time I had ever heard a rapper cover another rap song. Glad you guys are covering more genres on ARC. Look forward to what you review next. Daniel, thank you. See, that's what I love. We get emails like that from Daniel, emails like the ones from Josh where he doesn't like the rap. but people listen, and we want you guys to be entertained whether you love, hate, or don't care about the album. That's it. So that's what we got for feedback for Snoop this time, Zeus.
Let's welcome in our special guest at this time, the Hall of Famer Nige Savage.
So for this month, we have a very, very special guest that we are very excited to welcome here. Shouted Out Loudcast Hall of Famer and the editor of our #1 Amazon best-selling book, Raise Your Glasses, and resident metalhead. There was only one person who was going to join us for Among the Living by Anthrax, and it's our buddy, the great Nige Savage. What's up, my friend?
Hi, guys. How you doing? Really happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, it's going to be a ton of fun.
When we came up with the fact that we had to deal with a thrash album, you were like right on the top of the list.
We both said we got to bring on Nige. Even though to him this album is probably like soft rock compared to well, people can't see this, but right now Nige is wearing a 200 Stab Wounds t-shirt, and that's not a joke. He really is.
I did it. I picked my wardrobe carefully, and it took about 10 seconds. I was like, "This is the only shirt that I could wear for this particular episode." Seeing as 200 Stab Wounds has probably been mentioned on the podcast almost as much as Kiss has over the past few months.
That's so
it's
true.
become the running gag now.
That's
and
right.
It's great because we're doing this, and Nige sounds. Who's that guy who had the banged up teeth?
Malcolm Dome.
Yeah, he sounds just like him.
The British journalist. Yeah.
Do you know what we're talking about, Nige?
Do you know who we're talking about, Nige? I think he recently passed away.
He's a
Malcolm
very
Dome.
well-known guy.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
Yeah, he's passed away recently.
Yeah, he did. He did recently pass away.
He has. I found myself standing next to him at I can't remember who I was seeing now. I think it might have been somebody like Doro Pesh. It was like 10 years ago, and it was like in this little.
Now I understand why he passed away.
It was like in this little club in a venue in London. And I just was looking sideways, and I was like, "Oh, hey, that's Malcolm Dome." I didn't speak to him, but I was like, "Oh, wow, that's cool." So yeah, that's sad. He was a real legend.
Tooth decay. Poor guy.
Oh yeah,
he's in like every like rock documentary or like every
absolutely.
like he was pretty good. He was pretty good. So yeah.
I used to read him a lot when I was, back he used to write for Kerrang, and I can't remember if it was Kerrang or Metal Hammer or both, but I mean, I used to read his stuff all the time.
What was it? So. Metal Hemorrhoid? What was that?
Metal Hammer.
Metal Hemorrhoid.
Metal Hemorrhoid. That sounds a little.
That's what got it. That's what got him.
Yeah, that's what got him a metal hemorrhoid.
Or his teeth.
Poor Malcolm.
Oh, anyway, this is the Patreon pick.
Yep.
And they picked Anthrax Among the Living. And what we normally do when we have an album, the first thing we do is we talk about when we got into the album, how we discovered it, and whatnot. Let's start with Tom, Among the Living.
Okay, so I do have to say Zeus is going to get frustrated and pissed off at this, but once again, Patreon comes through because I'll tell you right, I don't know where I'm going to rank it, but I love this album. I've been a fan of this album since it came out. I've had it on cassette, had it on CD. I actually have the special re-release picture disc edition vinyl with the alternate artwork, which is pretty wild. So I've been into this, and it's funny because I'm not – when this came out, I wasn't really into thrash, but a couple of the songs kind of hooked me into it, and then there's a story with our buddy Murph when we were in college. There's a song on here that every time I hear it, I always think of him. So, but it's funny because I'm not like a super diehard Anthrax fan. Like I like some of the other stuff, like Spreading the Disease is a good album. And so I was a fan even when they brought in John Bush for that Sound of White Noise album. That was a great one right there. Different album because for the era. But I mean, I've been on board with Anthrax pretty much since day one, and I've been a fan of Among the Living since it came out.
What was that song they had with him that came out?
Only.
Oh, that's
like
my favorite Anthrax song. Doesn't sound like him. That's why.
Yeah, because it's more like a hard rock. It's more like hard rock and almost like not grungy Anthrax, but it's a different type of album.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I'm excited for this one. So I'm anxious to see what our buddy Nige thinks.
Yeah, well, so I'm a year older than you guys, so I'm born in '72, but roughly the same age. But and I go way back with Anthrax as well. So my intro into metal was Metallica and Iron Maiden, and then very quickly, so that would have been around the end of '85. then I very quickly sort of just dived headfirst into all kinds of metal, really. My first ever gig was Metallica on the Master of Puppets tour. But the reason that's relevant is that the support band for that gig was Anthrax. So in fact, the very first band I ever saw live was Anthrax back in 1986.
Nice.
So when this one came out, I was, by this point, I was a fully fledged metalhead, loved thrash, loved traditional metal, even liked some hair metal, not much of it, but some of it. I can't remember specifically when I got this, whether it was the day it came out but it would have been within a couple of weeks of it coming out. And I've had it ever since. Got my original vinyl, which I should have brought with me here. I mean, we're not doing video, are we? So I've had the original vinyl since what is it, March 87. So I go way back with them, and great band. I mean, what can I say? Just one of the foundational bands for me. Certainly, seeing gigs live and listening to thrash.
Nice.
So I never was into thrash. Everyone that listens to the show knows that. So I remember Anthrax in the video for Indians, because I used to watch Headbangers Ball constantly. I taped it every night. I learned how to time my VHS recorder, and it taped Headbangers Ball, and I watched the video and stuff. I will say this about the thrash and stuff. I didn't like Metallica. I didn't like Megadeth. I certainly didn't like Slayer. Of the big four, I wanted to like these guys. They seemed the most normal. And I like the fact that they were the kind of underdog of the big four. And so I kind of tried to get into it. And I didn't have a problem with Indians. I saw the video for it, but I never bought an Anthrax album. I did like the video when they started doing I Am the Man, then Bring On the Noise.
Yep.
And like I said, Tom, I like that song
Only.
And but I never bought an Anthrax album. I did like their versions and covers of Kiss songs. And I just remember one thing about them, because the thing about thrash, this is what I don't like, and it's only about hard rock and metal and things like that. They attack each other. I don't know why they would do that. So everybody knows the whole Metallica throwing a dart at Kip Winger and Nothing Else Matters video, right? But I would buy Hit Parader. I would buy Metal Edge. I would buy Circus Magazine. Remember? And I remember they always had this little thing. I think it may have been in Hit Parader or Circus. They had a thing where like somebody from a different metal band would listen to a different song and then talk about it. And I think it was like Scotty Ian and somebody else. And the song was off of Back for the Attack, Docking.
Okay.
So Many Tears. I don't know why So Many Tears would be the song.
Yeah, that's what wasn't even a hit.
It was not even a single or anything like that.
Right.
And I remember reading these like, oh, here we go again. These guys, all these bands do is do the same chords over and over and over again.
Which is ironic.
Which in my mind, I'm thinking like, dude, if I've not heard every fucking like thrash band sounds like this, it sounds like the same thing. I didn't have the nuances to tell the difference. It just sounds like the same thing. I'm like, why are these guys shitting on another band? That's the one thing I don't understand, that these guys got so competitive. That's why I love country. They never fucking attack each other. There is more fucking shout outs in country songs to older artists and the respect given to them. Everybody's quoting is like fucking saying they want to listen to a Waylon song or a Willie Nelson song or whatever. They're always praising each other in all their songs. Fucking metal, like, oh, these guys suck. This fucking LA band. These guys were part of that. So it didn't get me to gravitate to them. So when I saw that, even that, I was like, fuck these assholes. The fuck are they talking about? So I never really got into it. 3 or 4 years ago, we, started a friendship with Charlie Benante. He's been on the show and this. I'm like, I got to get a fucking album from these guys and give it a try. It's been time. I got into Metallica a little bit. I've been able to get through some of the stuff. And I'm like, if I can get into one of these bands, most likely it would be Anthrax, not Slayer or Megadeth. Right. Because of the vocals. Or, and I already started like getting warmer with Metallica. So I got of all the things nobody told me, I didn't look it up. I thought Among the Living was their big album.
Yep.
And I bought the CD about 3-4 years ago.
Nice.
I listened to it one time in the car.
And you were like, nope.
This is okay on my own. I listened to it one time in the car and I was like, yeah, nothing's changed. It reminded me of the fact that I puke every time I go on a boat.
Oh my God.
Or on an amusement park.
Are you all right?
That time goes by and I think to myself like a fucking idiot, you know what? It was probably all in my head. Let me give it another try. And then I throw up all over the place.
Yeah, but you know what, though? I respect you for at least giving it another try.
So I'm like, you know what? I bet you my taste has changed. My ear has changed. Let me listen to this. And I hear, and I'm like, yeah, no. And so now that Patreon has picked this up, I started listening to again. And we'll find out whether my ears have matured over time.
You know, I think the thrash thing is really interesting, and I definitely appreciate what you say about it. And because what's interesting about the thrash genre is that it was back in the 80s, it was very narrow. And I think that even though, but to me, Slayer and Anthrax sound entirely different. Whereas I can understand for people coming outside the thrash genre, it does all just sound like all the same. But I think what's interesting is that as thrash kind of suddenly got popular in about 88-ish, suddenly all the record labels wanted to sign 20 thrash bands. And so eventually all of the thrash bands did end up just all sounding the same and all going and they all were completely unoriginal. And then the whole scene eventually collapsed in on itself.
Like the hair metal scene.
Just like hair metal, just like everything else. Yeah.
Think about that time, though, Nige. At that time, there were videos and songs. Your love is like bad medicine, right? That's what I was gravitating to. Shit like that was on the radio. I like that hard rock kind of stuff. Way Cool Junior, Rat, shit like, oh, that's kind of my music. What the fuck is I Am the Law or Peace Sells or, like all of those songs have to do with that. Like, it's just completely different.
Okay, so here's the thing, and I'm sure, and Nige is on board because so I think the three of us are like the three different tiers of like thrash. Like Zeus has no interest in it. I like it, I don't love it, and then Nige is the so yeah. The thing I notice about Among the Living briefly, before we get into just generally speaking here, is that when you think thrash metal, like you think of the big four, okay, but even Metallica, even when you listen to Kill 'Em All. There's still melody to those songs. Like if you listen to, Jump on the Fire or Hit the Lights or Phantom Lord, there's a rhythm, there's a melody to those songs. The thing that's now I like Among the Living, but I can see how if this is not your thing, all these songs, some of them start off with like a nice crunchy riff, and then all of a sudden Charlie comes in with the So, and that's unique. And so Metallica doesn't really do that. Megadeth doesn't really do that all the time. Slayer does that probably more than them. So Anthrax, they're an interesting band. And I think, and Nige, I'm sure you could probably comment on this a little bit. The thing that I always thought Anthrax was a little bit of an outlier with the big four. And you could even tell this by the way Anthrax presented themselves and dressed. They were like a punk hardcore metal band. Yeah, right? Totally. Like, I mean, they wore like sports jerseys, they wore shorts, like, you know what I mean? And they were very if you're I'm not a fan of hardcore, but I know the music, but they're very punky hardcore with the thrash aspects.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the thing with Anthrax that really set them apart was, first of all, how they presented themselves in terms of, wearing board shorts, on stage rather than, Slayer were entirely in black and Metallica at back.
And a couple of them were little guys too.
Mm-hmm. A couple of them were little guys. But also, you're right. There's the hardcore influence for sure. But I think the other thing is just that they had kind of a fun element to them. They didn't take themselves too seriously.
Exactly.
Whereas all three of the other big four and most, let's be honest, most other thrash bands back then took themselves extremely seriously.
Yep.
Which is kind of fun. No, it's not funny because I love thrash, right? But if you think about it, it's like this is kind of ridiculous, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, can you imagine Slayer doing "I'm the Man"?
No, exactly.
No, and I love them. I think it's hilarious. I think it's funny. And then when they did Bring the Noise with Public Enemy, you're right. They didn't take themselves too seriously. They were funny, but they still knew how to bring it when it came time to bring it.
Exactly. And I think the thing is, though, they actually moved it into the presentation, because if you obviously see interviews with Slayer back in the day, they're just perfectly normal, kind of chilled out, happy guys, right?
Right.
It's just that their presentation was scary, and Metallica's presentation was scary, and Megadeth, I mean, he's just a really pissed off guy generally.
right.
But Anthrax were never like that, and I think that's what set them apart. And I think the other thing, of course, which I know that I'm going to be talking about a lot, is obviously they were far more melodic, vocally specifically.
Yep.
Than any of the other, probably than most other thrash bands, really, because other thrash bands, obviously, you're right, Metallica had lots of melody in there. Megadeth didn't, because Dave Mustaine really can't sing. Slayer didn't try to sing particularly, although there is, I can hear melody in it, but I can understand that they're probably the least melodic of the four. But Anthrax is closer to, and I'm not comparing Joey Belladonna to Ronnie James Dio, but he's closer to Ronnie James Dio, Bruce Dickinson, Rob Halford. He's closer.
Yeah, it's a clean vocal, kind of like some high pitched soaring vocals at times. Yeah, it's much different than James Hetfield or those guys.
Yeah,
of course. Yep.
All right, let's get into the album cover. Tom?
So I love this album cover, and I was very excited to read that the inspiration for the cover was kind of the first thing that I thought of. So first of all, one fact I did not know was that the illustrator, Dan Brodegam, if I'm pronouncing that right, he's also the guy that did Master of Puppets by Metallica, which I thought was really cool. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really cool.
And Dr. Feelgood as well.
That's right. Thank you. Yes, there you go, Dr. Feelgood. But the thing that I thought was interesting was that when I first look at this cover, being a horror fan, I'm like, that looks like that fucking psycho crazy old man from Poltergeist 2 that everybody is terrified of. And then I read that, the painting, they say it's been the subject of discussion. It's long been believed to depict the character of Henry Kane from Poltergeist 2. Other people thought it was, so Charlie Benante is a big horror guy, really big into Stephen King. There's a lot of Stephen King references here. And if you ever read The Stand or know the story of The Stand, the main character is Randall Flagg, and that they said that was inspiration to that too. I just think it's kind of a really unique cover. I think it's interesting, and Charlie even said, he's like, it's about how much evil is out there. I wanted to show a picture with the same type of person, and then just have one person sticking out saying, "Hey," "Hey, how are you?" type thing, kind of like among the living. So I think the artwork is kind of cool. It's unique. This is the era of cool artwork. So I find it pretty interesting. I always thought it was cool. And just as a side note, so I mentioned how I have like that picture disc. The artwork is different. It's more colorful and it's more zoomed in. And instead of the guy's face, it's almost like a monster face. Instead of like an old man, it's almost like a zombie kind of demon face, which is actually kind of cool too. So yeah, I think it's cool. Nige, what do you think?
Yeah, same. I really like it. I mean, I think I actually also did not know until I was prepping for this. I did not know that it was the same artist that did Master of Puppets. I had no idea.
Me neither. I thought that was cool.
That's what a cool CV that is. Resume, as you guys call it. But I really love it. And I think what I like about it is that it's got that kind of bit of mystery about it. And there was, back in those days, there was obviously so many of those thrash albums had sort of quite violent sort of artwork, right? There's a guy called Ed Repka who did a lot of the covers by the band Death, and he did Peace Sells, and he did a bunch of stuff. But this one actually kind of avoids that, right? So even here, where again, Anthrax are kind of setting themselves apart a little bit. They're not going down the kind of satanic evil. Well, it is evil, but it's more mysterious rather than outright sort of killing people.
Yeah, it's more like a subtle, creepy vibe. Yeah,
it's cool. I really like it.
Yep.
Yeah, I like it too. I think it's very different. I like the logo centered right on top, and then the one guy that sticks out. He's not uniform to everybody else. And he does look like the guy. I mean, I didn't need to know. Like I recognize that guy from the fucking decrepit, melting face guy from Poltergeist coming to the door. He was like the scariest thing I've ever seen, without even like being a murderer. And just look at him like, oh my god, imagine this guy came to my door. I think this is very unique. I like the lettering, the coloring, the way it sticks out. I'm game. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, and I always thought the Anthrax logo was cool. You know, this is the era when every band had a logo. You know, the Big Four obviously had their own unique. Metallica's logo and Megadeth's logo. I always thought Anthrax's was kind of cool as well. So yeah, definitely an awesome album cover.
So what we do next is I give a couple facts about the album. So Among the Living, it came out March 16, 1987. It was produced by Anthrax. And at first I was like, what? Eddie Kramer.
Never knew it. I swear to God, I did not know that until I was preparing for this episode, because I love Eddie Kramer. This does not sound like an Eddie Kramer album. And it's pretty much because the band said, fuck you. We don't want this to sound like an Eddie Kramer album.
Yeah. I think apparently he bunged a load of reverb over it or something. And
he tried to make it sound like Pyromania or like a Mutt Lang production. They were like, fuck that.
Yeah.
And so apparently, he wanted it to, he kept arguing with them. No, you got to make your sound modern. And they fucking held their ground.
Yep.
Whether they were right or not, I don't know, because I don't know what the other album sounded like, but they held their ground and they made him change it back. And he's like, fine, fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that this music is so fast and so precise that if you stick a load of reverb over it,
it wouldn't have worked.
It just would the whole impact would have been entirely lost. And I think Scott Ian says in his book, I think he said, if we'd let him do that, it would have been the end of our career. Now, I'm not sure about that, but I think it would not have been heralded as the great album that it is, certainly.
And help us out. You're the musician. Explain to us what you mean by, like, what was it going to sound like with reverb?
Well, with reverb, it kind of softens everything off, and it's not really echo, but it kind of just makes everything a bit washy, right? Whereas what thrash needs is that dry, because the thing with thrash, it's underpinned by the rhythmic, fast picking of the strings, right? Right. But if you've got everything reverbed slightly, it doesn't have that attack. It would just elongate everything, not elongate it in time, but it would just put a short echo or a washiness over it, and the whole of that impact of the staccato riffing would be completely lost. And also because it's fast, the same thing would apply to Charlie's double bass drums. You wouldn't be able to hear them. It would just be a big mess. It works for Hysteria and Living on a Prayer, because it's not fast. It's just this big anthemic stuff. So it works for that. It doesn't work for thrash at all. You know. Yeah,
which is interesting, because I'm surprised when I read that, because Eddie Kramer is obviously a fucking genius. You know, Zeppelin, Hendrix, Kiss, whatever. And I'm like, this is not Anthrax. Is not those bands. So I mean, how I can't believe he thought that would work. Because this is not anthemic melodic rock like a Kiss album or a Zeppelin album or a Def Leppard album. So I was really surprised that he was like, no, this is what I did. And they were like, no, this ain't going to work.
That takes a lot of balls to be like, I can't believe Eddie Kramer's going to do our album. Oh my God, oh my God. Then what the fuck is this?
It's so true. I think they were excited to have the name Eddie Kramer, not realizing what he was going to do to the album. But it's funny because he didn't try to do that. Now, I know this was 10 years prior, but he didn't try to do that with Rock and Roll Over. I mean, that's one of the reasons why people love Rock and Roll Over, because it sounds so raw and live and it doesn't sound like Nige said, like rounded and smooth. It sounds raw. You can hear every fucking note that Ace is playing on that album. So,
and I think it's just because he wanted, like you said, I think because he wanted it to sound modern, and the album.
Yeah, it was 1986.
I don't know exactly the dates, but certainly Slippery When Wet had been out, because that came out in '86, right? I don't know if Hysteria was already out, but if it wasn't, then it was certainly that kind of whole sound.
No, they said it was Pyromania at that point.
Pyromania.
That was the one, because that was '83. So yeah, 83. But you're right. He wanted it to be modern. Yeah.
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 And the album made it to number 62 US Billboard. It's only gold.
Yeah.
But, over time, these are some of the accolades they've received. Martin Popoff, the great Martin Popoff from Pantheon and our buddy, he lists number 49 in the top 500 heavy metal albums of all time in 2004.
Wow.
Revolver in 2014 put it in its 14 thrash albums you need to own. Rolling Stone ranked this 20th on their list of 100 greatest metal albums. 2020, Kerrang put Among the Living at number 6 as in the list of 25 greatest thrash metal albums ever.
Wow.
And then VH1 put Cotton and Mosh as number 29 in greatest metal songs.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah. Gold is pretty good though for a thrash album from 1986 for Anthrax. It's 500,000 copies, so that's not bad.
I never believe these numbers because I'm like, how many people have this now? It's still only gold. I hate that we can't be like, now it's double platinum.
Right?
Something.
No, you're right. You're right. Yep.
Oh well. Are we ready to get into the tracks? All right, let's go. Song number 1.
So we start off with the title track, Among the Living. So this is kind of, it fools you, this song, because if you don't really know what you're listening to, it starts off with a nice little moody intro. It starts off mid-tempo. It kind of paints the picture, kind of sets the scene. And then you got what we were talking about. You got that classic thrash. You got the double bass drums. You got the crunching riffs, pummeling. And as I said earlier, this song right off the bat, very, very hardcore punk aesthetic here. One thing I noticed that was kind of unique about this album, and I never really noticed it when I would listen to it before, because when we're preparing for ARC, you're really listening to everything. I didn't realize how many tempo changes Anthrax does on these songs, because Metallica, short of the Injustice for All album, usually Metallica's pretty straightforward. They'll get creative on certain stuff, but almost every one of these songs has tempo changes from the real double bass thrash to just hard rock, melodic, kind of pummeling riffs. But I do want to get it out of the way now, and I want to talk about Joey Belladonna. So it's funny because Joey's background he was a lead singer in a cover band, and they did Journey and Bad Company and arena rock, which I think absolutely is what you hear here. Now, to me, it's jarring when I hear this type of music with this type of vocals, because I keep going back to Metallica, but I'm trying to picture Joey Belladonna singing "Hit the Lights" off of Kill 'Em. I just can't do it. And to me, that's always been a little bit of a minus. If I had to do a plus minus on the album, was not that he sounds bad. I just think for me as a metal fan, it's kind of jarring to hear it. And sometimes when he hits those high pitches, I'm like, did he mean to hit that note? Was that what he was supposed to be doing? But I love the song. I mean, right off the bat, you know what you're in for. I think it's great. I think the band sounds absolutely killer. One thing about this band that's really underrated, in my opinion, is the band itself. Charlie's incredible. Frank Bello is one of the most kick-ass bass players for metal. And then you got Scott Ian and Dan Spitz doing the guitars. So the band's great, and they sound great. So I think this is a great song to kick it off, Nige.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's again, I'd put it lulls you into a bit of a false sense of security. I think there's a lot of those thrash bands back in the day that would start you just with a super fast, straight away hitting you in the face. The most obvious example being Angel of Death, first track off Rain and Blood, which just hits you squarely in the face and then doesn't stop hitting you in the face for half an hour.
Right.
But this one doesn't. This starts off, you've got that acoustic-y kind of intro, but then even when the sort of full band starts, it doesn't go straight into the super fast thing. It's kind of got that sort of mid-pace sort of stomp, which Anthrax is so good at, and I think better than any other of those certainly the big four. But yeah, then when it starts off, I mean, to be honest, I agree with you. I think the MVP of this album, particularly, and Anthrax generally, is Charlie. I think he's just him and Dave Lombardo and
Slayer.
a guy called Gene Hoglan, who I don't know if you know, but Gene Hoglan's a drummer of a band called Dark Angel. He drummed more recently. He's been drumming with Testament. Not now. Anyway, I think the three of them, but I think, in terms of the really well-known ones, Lombardo and Charlie are just absolute beasts. They're just so good. And I think that what holds the whole thing together, I mean, this is kind of obvious, right? But what holds the whole thing together and what makes the tempo changes work without them sounding clunky is just the way that he plays through stuff. Is just, and I'm not a drummer, but I mean, he's so good. He's so good. You know. Beyond that, I think it's a really cool song. I love the tempo change in the chorus to sort of bring the tempo down in the chorus rather than it going more intense. I think the solo's a bit average. I think sort of the weak point generally with Among the Living is some of the soloing seems like a bit of an afterthought, and I think it sort of is on this song. I think it's fine.
Agreed.
Fine, but I don't think it's like wow. I don't think it adds anything particularly to the song. Lyrically, I think Joey is sometimes clunky, but I think in this example it kind of works. I think the chorus, "I'm the walking dude," which is a line I think is Randall Flagg. Stephen King describes Randall Flagg as the walking dude.
That's right.
Line straight out of The Stand.
Yep.
But I think that's just the use of those words, which I think works in this instance. But I think the use of that, you wouldn't get Slayer singing "I'm the walking dude." It wouldn't happen, right? So I think again, it's an example of how Anthrax just immediately sets themselves apart from most of the other bands in this genre just by doing something that others just wouldn't even consider doing. I think. But cool song. Really like it. Scott's a beast. Charlie's a beast. I'm going to talk about Frank Bello in a minute, but great song.
Cool.
So all the songs are basically considered written by Anthrax, except for "I Am the Law" and "Imitation of Life," which is Anthrax and Danny Lilker. So Among the Living, what I found fascinating by just getting into all this stuff, and after a while of having Charlie on the show and becoming friends with him, is how fucking talented he is. He writes all the riffs. The drummer writes the guitar riffs.
Yep.
That is unheard of to me. That's insane. And I saw it during the COVID stuff where he was, coming up with shit on his own and doing all that awesome stuff, entertaining us on YouTube with COVID. And he's playing guitar for half the stuff. I'm like, oh, wow, that's pretty good.
Yep.
Didn't realize he wrote all the riffs for this. So he sticks out like a sore thumb. I do not know how he starts this album on drums and how he would finish this album and not just collapse. How does this guy play? I don't understand, like thrash drummers, bass drums. How are you not just physically exhausted? Because that's all. That's the thing that sticks out right off the top. Okay.
Yep.
The album, the riff is very good. I like the riff. It starts off and then it comes back at the chorus when they do Among the Living. And so you're right. Like when you start off the song with this riff, which is a great riff. And then it just vanishes into something else, right? Yep. Spreading the disease. I like the callback, right? When they do to previous albums.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, you're like, where the fuck was that riff that just came in? Because all I just heard is and Belladonna yelling. So I'm trying to get used to this guy's vocals. Yeah. I've listened to this album, I don't know, 100 times since this album was picked. I don't know if I like his vocals or I don't like his vocals. I don't know if his vocals are good or they're poor.
I feel the same.
Tell.
I seriously feel the same.
There are times I'm like, wow, this guy can sing, right? He's hitting high notes, he's doing this, that. But I almost feel like, and again, I don't know keys. I don't know this shit. I'm not a musician. Like, he should have, like, he's doing a early Hetfield voice when he should be doing a later growl Hetfield.
Right. Joey Belladonna has no growl. There's no growl.
Yeah, it feels like it's light. There's no bass behind his voice, and it should be higher. Instead, he's doing like a Rob Halford voice to this.
Yep.
And it should be a James Hetfield voice to this music. I don't know.
There are certain songs when he's singing, I swear to God, it almost sounds like he's surprised to be singing. Like it's almost like Like I promise I am not going to spend this entire album on Joey because there's a lot more to talk about. But I think his vocals, as we said earlier, he is very unique to thrash. This is not what you normally hear with thrash. You either hear indistinguishable vocals or you hear something like Hetfield or Mustaine, a growl, a gruffness, a heaviness, and Joey doesn't bring that.
Mustaine is not what you would call a singer.
Hello, me.
Goodbye, you. Yeah. But anyway, what sticks out to me, the fact is, like, all these riffs on this whole album are fantastic.
Yeah.
And Charlie came up with it. The drums stick out.
Yeah.
From what I understand, Scott writes most of the lyrics, but I'm like, wow. So already off the top, I'm like, Charlie's the star of this band.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah.
The guitars and the riffs and the bass and ours and the rhythm is obviously very good. Okay. But I can't tell you what any fucking solo is on this.
No.
It's just guitar playing. There's no melody. There's no fucking melodic, like, oh, fuck, this one wrong. I'm sure that it's not easy. I'm sure it's fast, talented. Okay. If you switched every one of these fucking solos to a different song in this album, I wouldn't be able to tell.
So I agree with this. I know Nige hinted at this too. So for me, when I think of solos, I always go to Kirk Hammett because to me he's one of my favorites. Nobody solos like him in my opinion. I love him. But the thing with these songs is I think the reason why the solos are not like Kirk Hammett is because they're not slowing down when it's time for a solo. Is what I noticed. Meaning you got Charlie going brrr, with the double bass, the thrash, and then like Scott Ian tries to come in and do a solo and he can't because they're going 200 miles an hour. So it's almost like, again, I keep comparing to Metallica, but Metallica has a tempo to them that allows Kirk to solo. I feel like there's some solos on it. Not all of them are like that. But it's almost like, okay, we're gonna blow your brains out with this thrash, and we're just gonna try to throw in a solo. And to me, sometimes it doesn't always work.
Yeah, I'm a George Lynch type of solo guy.
Yeah.
All the thrash guys don't do it for me. The speed doesn't do it for me. I want the melody. I want the fucking note to be held.
Right.
There are some Metallica, solos that come to mind. But even Metallica, it's still fast shit. A lot of this solo.
Early Metallica is definitely. But yeah, Nige, go ahead.
I think the thing with the again, I think the thing with the soloing on this, and Dan Spitz is the lead guitar player, and I think it just that the solos haven't got a lot of personality about them, and it's like Kirk Hammett. So think about the solo in Master of Puppets, right? I can sing that. I can sing that entire solo from start to finish, right? It's got a melody. It moves through different bits and pieces. It's shreddy, but it's still got shape, right?
Yep.
Slayer's lead guitar solos are nothing like that, but they still bring something because they're these kind of horrible, like atonal sort of whammy bar dives and it just sounds, and it adds something to the songs, even whether you like them or not. But I think it adds something because it's this horrible, like atonal sort of almost a mess, right? Megadeth solos, particularly when Marty Friedman was in the band, were like properly, like technically brilliant, and they are
brilliant,
more
solos.
melodic and fantastic. So I think that, unfortunately, the solos on this album just don't really fit any of those categories. They're just kind of, like I said before, I think they're just there as a bit of an afterthought. And I agree with you. I think you could replace one with another and wouldn't really make that much difference. But I would say that for me, Anthrax, the thing that makes Anthrax brilliant is the rhythm of the songs. And by that, I mean particularly the interplay between Charlie and Scott, who is Scott Ian is an absolute. I know I'm going to say something that you hate, so you can feel free to bludgeon me. Being a musician, right?
No, hey, if you are one, go for it.
So being a guitar player and having played metal for years, playing what Scott Ian does and what James Hetfield does in the way that they play them is very, very fucking difficult. It's not shredding, right? It's not playing lead solos, but playing that tightly and that fast is incredibly difficult, and Scott Ian and James Hetfield are the two absolute masters of that. Scott Ian's a fucking genius. He's the thrash metal Malcolm Young, right? He's not a shredder.
Yep.
He's not a shredder. He's a rhythm guitar. He's strictly a rhythm guitar player, but he does it better than anyone. Him and Hetfield.
Yep. And you corrected me. You're right, because it's Dan that does the solos, not Scott. I misspoke when I said that.
No. So I think the solos are a bit of an afterthought, I think, in this song and others, but I don't think that's what Anthrax is about particularly. You know what I mean? But it's still a shame that it's an afterthought.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to song number 2.
All right. Caught in a Mosh. Okay, this has always been one of my favorites. Always been one of my favorites. So this was cool because this song was kind of written about one of their roadies or one of their technicians that got dragged into a mosh pit during a show. We got caught in a mosh, literally. I love the intro here. I love the bass line right there. Frank Bello I love that. And then the riff comes in. And again, I love these intros to these songs because then you get, again, the classic double bass thrash. Joey's vocals, very, very hardcore-y and punky and thrashy. But then I love the tempo change when they get to the chorus. And it's like, when they're saying, like, what is it, caught in a mosh? Just that gang vocals. I think that's so fucking badass. I've always loved this song. I think this has always been a standout for me, Nige.
Yep, same. It's fantastic. I mean, certainly it's one of their biggest songs. I think it's certainly, I mean, I've probably seen them 20 times at a mixture of their own shows and festivals. They always put, this is always in the set.
Yep.
I'm pleased that you mentioned Frankie because I think on this song, I think he's another really underrated bass player. You know, I think he's got more than a touch of Cliff Burton about him. Because I think what he does is he doesn't just, I mean, first of all, you can hear the bass, right? You know, the production is good enough that you can hear the bass, you can hear what he's doing, which you can't always in thrash, obviously famously on Justice for All, but just generally speaking. But I think so you can hear what he's doing. And I think what he's doing is he actually adds, he doesn't just follow the rhythm guitar. He's not just adding weight. He's also filling in gaps here and there with little bass fills. And there's great examples on this song. For example, in the chorus, he puts little sort of high runs in there, which works so well in his little earworms. You can listen out for it. So yeah, fantastic. I think the way that the drums come back in after the end of the first chorus, when they come back into verse 2, it doesn't just play straight through. There's a break, and then the first line of the verse, there's no drums, and then suddenly Charlie just crashes back in, almost like you're not expecting it. I just think that shit is just so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great song. I actually think this solo works a lot better because the end of the solo has some proper melody to kind of bring it all back in together. So that works better for me. But yeah, really, really great song. And I don't know. I know Zeus won't have done, but have you seen Anthrax live?
I've never, no.
No. I mean, so this and another song another 2 songs on this album is one of the ones which gets people moving quite dramatically. It's nice. Great. What a song.
Cool.
All right, Caught in a Mosh. The thing that I picked up, now this is the second song off this album. The thing I picked up, I'm like, oh, this is a trend. This is what it's going to sound like.
Yep.
You like these gang vocals. I do not.
What is it caught in a mosh? What is it caught? I love that. I love it.
I feel like they got people that don't know how to do backing vocals.
Of course, it's a metal band.
Like, no. Like,
what is it?
Yeah, but it's the same thing throughout. I mean, I could have said the same. I'm on the limit. And like, there's no melody to it. It's just
there's not supposed to be.
You know, it's just screaming. It's not singing a chorus. The chorus doesn't rhyme at all. It's words just repeated and said out loud. I'll give you a quick example of it. The part when he said, "I ain't gonna live my life this way," like the band repeating it back.
That's coming straight from the hardcore scene, right? That sort of gang vocal is a really strong influence from crossover and hardcore.
Yep.
Okay, it doesn't work for me, and that's the same thing that happens to this album the whole way through. I know enough of thrash metal only from Metallica. Metallica does not sound like that.
Nope.
No, this just sounds like, honestly, hey, we need a couple people in the studio. Nige, Tom Zeus, sing, but we don't know how to sing. Just shout out these words. Just shout these words out to everybody.
What is it?
Caught in the mosh. What is it? Caught in a mosh. Like,
I love it. I love it.
And they're like, yeah, that's it. You're like, you're gonna fucking use that?
Yes.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I mean, I like the little pre-chorus part. I will say it, except for the fucking back repeat gang vocals call and answer they do, but it's got something there. I just, what is it on? I'm just like, this isn't round and round.
Oh my God. It's not supposed to be round and round.
No,
it's not supposed to be. I mean, it's also not Elton John. I mean, what the hell? It's like,
I get it, but this isn't my type of music. It's just,
you just sounded like
not.
Frank Costanza. This guy, this is not my kind of guy.
No, it's not. And I'm trying.
I know
I'm
you are.
Trying
it's okay.
Okay.
That's why it's
I
fun.
think the thing to remember about, and you know this already, right? But I think the thing to remember about thrash is that it's as much about the rhythm of the words as the melody. In fact, it's more about the rhythm of the words than it is about the melody of the words, right? Because if you take that to the extreme, death metal goes death metal goes way, and is that
a positive thing?
No,
well, for me, it would be. Well, it's not positive or negative. It's just different, right?
Right.
But I'll tell you who else said this. A similar thing is Michael Stipe, right? He said that for him, the rhythm of the words and what the words sounded like was as important as the melody and remember back in the day.
Paul says that too sometimes.
Yeah.
Paul Stanley says that too sometimes. The right words sounded out gives it a better melody, even though something might make more sense in the lyric, but using these words makes the song better. And I get that, and that's fine. Again, I'm not trying to be a fucking downer here and be like, oh, this isn't,
no.
We're not doing fucking LA Guns in the 1988. I get it. But I'm just saying, like, it's hard for me to overcome things when we get to parts in a song where I'm not used to it being this way. And a chorus and the gang vocals and things like that. And again, I will tell you, I mean, this is more accessible to me than the other two. I wouldn't say three because I wouldn't count Metallica. The other two big four in thrash.
Oh yeah, it is.
All right, let's go to song number 3, please.
I Am the Law. His last name is Dredd, Judge Dredd. I'm like, God damn. Okay. So I've always loved this song because this has a nice groove, a little bit of a change of pace from the first two songs, has more of a slow kind of bludgeoning kind of pace. It's not that high speed thrash that you get all the time. I like the chorus. It's telling a story, which is kind of cool. Again, tempo changes. Second half of the song, full blown thrash with a solo. Then it comes around full circle to that original groove. So I've always thought that this song is cool. I always thought the lyrics were cool. I don't know anything about Judge Dredd. I don't know the comic book, and I've never seen the Stallone movie either. So I don't know anything about Judge Dredd. I just know he's a character. But I've always thought this song is badass. So this is always a standout one for me, Nige.
Yeah, same. I mean, again, this is another really big song for them. A live staple. The riffs are fantastic. I think particularly, I was saying before about Scott Ian's rhythm playing being so important, but he's so good. I think in the part where it does speed up in towards the second half or the midsection, that's like Scott Ian did his absolute best. And to play that fast and that precise, that's really fucking hard to do. And it just sounds really cool. I think the chorus is really killer in this. The what was it? 14-year-old me, 15-year-old me. You won't fuck around no more. It's like, oh, he said fuck. And Paul Stanley would be pleased about that one. I think, again, the solo is nothing really special. For me, I think the vocals here, it's weird, but the vocals sound a little pitchy in places. And I think there's a couple of moments,
I agree.
like you said before, there's a couple of moments, and they're a bit like, I wonder if you shouldn't have maybe tried that one again. It sounds, if I'd been Eddie Kramer at the desk, I'd have been like, "Yeah, Joey, that was great. Do you want to try do it again?" delete that take. It just sounds. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird that for an album that was obviously had a lot of money put behind it in production, and it was their big album, their big sort of major label album and stuff. I'm surprised that it feels like there was a few things that kind of slipped through the net, which I was surprised that they were there, But overall, killer song, great chorus, great riff, awesome.
Yep.
So I Am the Law. This one treads along. I don't know what drocket means. Does anybody?
What means?
Drocket?
Drecket, I think it is. I think it's I think
the
it's
lyrics that I
something
pulled
from-
up says drocket. I don't know.
Oh, really? I think it's something to do with.
DROKK it.
I think it's something from the comic. I don't know the comic book guy either, but I think it's something that Judge Dredd in the comic used to say. I think.
Yeah, it says drocket even in the lyrics. In
Drocket.
I don't know.
Yep.
Oh, cool. Okay.
But anyway, okay, it treads along. It's a good riff. I mean, all their songs have good riffs. Again, the vocals are there. Sometimes he hits a high note. You're like, ooh, wait a minute. Ooh. Respect the badge. He earned it with his blood.
I love
Fear
it.
the gun. Your sentence may be death because
I am the law. You won't fuck around.
The one song that I knew from them was I Am the Man. So I'm waiting for I Am the Man. I am the man. I'm so bad I should be in detention.
I love that. That's so good.
I don't know where this is going, but it's okay. It moves along. Again, like all their songs, they're all good riffs. So
yeah.
All right, let's go to the next track.
All right, here we go. This is the song I always come back to. N.F.L. Eifel Nicka Fessin, which is Nice Fucking Life in reverse. Nige, being an Anthrax fan, I know that you are familiar with NFB, Dalib Nicka, or NFD, Dalib Nicka Fessin, when they did that on Attack of the Killer Bees, when it was Nice Fucking Ballad, when they wrote that song kind of shitting on like power ballads and the whole hair metal thing. I just... and this is what we said earlier, how they don't take themselves too seriously. They have a song title that's written in reverse. They say it in reverse, and they say N.F.L. Nice Fucking Life. The chorus is just absolutely fantastic. But I love the music in this riff too. I love the riff. I've always loved the tempo. I think the guitars crush on this song as opposed to some of the previous ones we've listened to. The chorus is amazing. The gang vocals with the call and answer, when it's like N.F.L. Eifel Nicka Fessin, and then at the end they're all like Nice Fucking Life. It's so fucking cool. Me and Murph, when we were in college, used to play this and just laugh at it with the stupidity of it and the humor. But to me, all joking aside, I think the song, this has always been a standout for me on Among the Living.
So, well, I think this is. I mean, I think it's a good song. I don't think it's a great song. I think for me, it's like sort of just a notch down from the first three for me. I think.
Okay.
Again,
Okay.
The riffing is amazing, because look, Charlie's always great, Scott's always great. I mean, Frankie's always great. The band it does sound really good. I think the hardcore shouting vocals, which they do so well, sound good. Solo's kind of okay, not great. I think it's like, for me, this one just misses, not by much. But
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I don't gravitate towards this one as much as the others. I just think it's still good, right? I mean, for me, it's like, I mean, we'll talk about the stuff where the rankings and so on at the end or whatever. But for me, it's still good. But I think compared to what's gone before, I find this one just slightly misses, even though everything's kind of in place. Great riff.
Okay.
Cool chorus, great shouty vocals, which Zeus loves apparently, and but yeah, for me, it's just a tiny notch down.
Okay. N.F.L.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, it's really good. To be honest, for me, it's more of a song that sounds great live.
Yeah, NFP, nice fucking podcast.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Zeus.
I love how you already picked up on it. That you're like, yeah, Zeus likes this, this type of stuff. I'm thinking to myself, this came out the way that it's backwards.
Yeah.
Before Eifel F. Zagen, which is NWA's.
Oh, yes, that's right. When they did backwards. Yeah. N for life.
This came out first.
Yes.
Because I was wondering who copied who.
Yep. It's a good call. Good call.
Yeah. So, again, I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? NFL? Like, and then he's saying it backwards. Oh, this is me rolling my eyes, people. I'm just like, okay, we get it. I just, the lyrics are fine. I like what they're saying. I find their lyrics to be interesting and cool. It's just, you know, the gang vocals, they don't work for me. So it's very repetitive. And a lot of these songs, they all have unique, good riffs. I don't know. I throw this in the middle of the pack. Like, okay, I don't hate it, but it doesn't move me.
Okay.
I get the novelty of it, of the, you know, nice fucking life backwards. Okay. But again, I'm kind of just like, okay, Thrash isn't my thing. So I'm just,
It's okay. It doesn't have to be.
I don't like it doesn't mean, excuse me. The fact that I don't hate it is actually a positive thing.
Okay.
All right. Let's go to song number 5.
A Skeleton in the Closet. So again, we have another Stephen King reference. So if you've ever read Different Seasons, there's a short story called Apt Pupil, which is fucking terrifying. They actually made a movie out of it. The movie is fucking terrifying. Zeus, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's about okay, a young kid, his next door neighbor, he thinks he's a kindly old man and finds out the guy is a Nazi.
Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen pulls out his Nazi uniform. It's fucking terrifying. It's great. So this is kind of based on that story because Scott, Ian, and Charlie were like huge Stephen King fans, as we talked about before. So again, you know, more thrash. You know, I'm not going to say it's more of the same, but it is more of the same. It's more of what you want. Another catchy chorus for me. This song here, I know we've talked about it before. I said I wasn't going to keep piling on, but this chorus here particularly is kind of what we were laughing about before with Joey's pitch or tone. It's just not working. There's something, I feel like if you gave this song to somebody with a little bit more of an aggressive vocal, it would really drive home the point of the song, I think. And I think that's missed with Joey's style of vocals here. But I love it. Charlie is crushing the double bass and the cymbals at the beginning of this when the song takes off. He's killing it as always. Great riffs. This song has always been kind of a standout to me. The chorus is kind of cool, but again, I know, you know, Zeus will roll his eyes, but I kind of like the gang vocals, the hardcore kind of call back to the call and answer type stuff. But yeah, Skeleton in the Closet, I think this is kind of a kick-ass one too, Nige.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think, again, great riffs. I think Frankie really shines here, and I think this is what I was saying about before, you know, about how he manages to find a sort of the space within the riffs or within the vocals and just adds little bits and pieces here and there. And I think he does that really well in the verses, the end of the second chorus. And then if you listen to what I was listening to it really closely on headphones, and what I'd never really noticed before was what he's playing during the solo is just fucking, it's borderline progressive. It's just fucking mind blowing. It's just like, I'd never really kind of cottoned onto it before. And it's like, wow, this is awesome. I think this one's a little different. They've got these little bluesy guitar breaks in the between each line of the second verse. I think that's really cool. But you're right. Charlie just fucking crushes this song from start to finish. Yeah. But I think you're right. I think, one thing I was going to say about Joey, I think you're right that his style of singing does not lend itself to the subject matter here.
Nope.
And that is even more apparent in a song that's coming up. But it's sort of noticeable here. I don't think it detracts too much from the song, but it's something that you notice. The thing that I think does detract from the song is at the very end, Joey does those yo, and it's like, that doesn't fit. That's from the Poison album. What are you doing?
It doesn't fit. Yeah, that is kind of weird.
This is a song about a Nazi. You don't need to be going yeah at the end. So I don't know why they left that in, but overall, killer song. Really love this one, apart from some slight weird Joey-ness.
Yeah, Joey-ness, yeah.
All right, a skeleton in the closet. Any skeletons?
Any skeletons? Any misfortunes? Any skeletons hiding in the closet?
Okay, now you hear that. Can't you just picture the band is Anthrax, Joey fucking Buttafuoco doesn't show up to the concert, and James Hetfield comes in and sings this instead?
This song would be 6,000 times more kick-ass if James Hetfield was singing it. That's my point.
That's what I pick up from this.
Yep.
That, this, I'm like, oh my God, if he was singing, and I'm not oh, James Hetfield is the singer of my. No, but like with this kind of aggression, you
Yes.
need a fucking man to sing this.
Yes.
And not that he's not a man, but I don't need Timu fucking Rob Halford singing this.
No, I agree.
The song's okay. Again, all this stuff just reminds me of Rush. I may not like it, but I respect it. How the fuck does Charlie Benante play this song live and not collapse?
I don't know.
Like, what the fuck is he doing? He must be dead by the end of any concert he does.
Yep.
The drums are insane on this. And the aggression is there. I get it. And then at the end, I thought I was the one who picked up it. Woo! I expect them to be like,
it's so
some
weird.
sugar on me.
No, it's
There's
so,
a Nazi living next to me. Woo!
In the name of love.
it's so out of place. It's like, what were you thinking? It's a song about Nazis. Just really don't need to do that there.
I don't want to go on too much of a detour,
No, go ahead.
but which is why I prefer Bob Ezrin over Eddie Kramer.
No, we'll
Eddie
get to
Kramer's Eddie Kramer,
yeah.
I'll get the sound you want. This is what you want. I'll make you sound great. I don't give a fuck if you want to write stupid shit or celebrate with fucking Bon Jovi fucking ad-libs to a Nazi song.
Well, there were
That's
a lot
your
of
problem, not mine.
There were a lot of disagreements
Yeah,
between
I know.
So, yeah.
But that's my point. Like, whereas, like, Ezra, like, dude, get this fucking Peter Criss nonsense shit out of the end of this song. What are you doing? And,
Good point.
You know, and I think just, he's like, Eddie Kramer's like, oh, this is what you wanted, right? Never mind the other stuff we talked about in the beginning of him wanting to change the sound and all that stuff. I don't know. And that just, again, if Hetfield's saying this, I think it would be a lot better. So
100%.
let's go to the actual next song.
Indians. This is a lot of people's go-to track on Among the Living here. This is kind of the song, I think that the first song I heard on this is kind of drew me into buying the cassette and the CD, etc. Great little tribal intro there with the drums. I love the riff. And again, everything kind of then like pulls back. And then you got the the drums are just, and then it pulls back a little bit when Joey starts singing the chorus. Just that the riffs on this are just so badass. The chorus is a little foolish. Look, we said the same thing when we reviewed the Europe album. He's talking
There's a lot of that shit during this era, huh?
Enough with the Cherokee and the Trail of Tears
And
the
Run to
Indian-
the Hills and fucking.
Come on, it's just so stupid. And again, we've said this a lot. Anthrax not taking them too seriously when they're all like war dance and then like I still think this song kicks ass. There's a cool breakdown that gets into a little bit more of a proper solo. You could tell that this song, or at least in my opinion, you could tell that this song was kind of created in order to get a little bit of maybe public kind of airplay. We'll talk about the video in a minute. But yeah, this has always just been like a standout track for me. The chorus is minus a little bit of the chorus.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's, this is a top 5 Anthrax song for me, and
Yep.
I think probably most other people. I think it's, again, it's the highlight of probably every time I've seen them live. This has been the highlight. It's just absolutely crazy. The war dance section, particularly, which is designed to have people, try and kill each other in a mosh pit. Right? That's specifically why that's written.
Yep,
Right?
yep, exactly.
I think, I'm pretty sure that Joey Belladonna's got some Native American heritage. So I think, even though I agree that the lyrics are slightly juvenile, I think he gets away with it because at least he's singing from a place of,
Yep.
at least, it's not like Joey Tempest singing about Cherokee, right?
Joey
Because
Tempest.
he's very clearly not Native American, being from Sweden, right? Whereas I think it's slightly, he gets away with it kind of there. But I just think there's things in this song which just, there's proper harmony vocals in the chorus, right?
Yep.
Which thrash bands just weren't weren't doing that well, I mean, at all. They just weren't doing that. Whereas there's proper harmony vocals there. The solo isn't particularly memorable, but what I love about the end of the solo is that at the end of the solo kind of just moves back into the sort of reprises the melody from the intro, right? Which is that's a really cool thing. I mean, what can I say? For me, it's like a perfectly written song for what Anthrax does really well, which is changes of tempos, really crushing riffs, melodic vocals, which work 99% of the time. And it's just something the influence coming in from the crossover and hardcore scene. I think everything that goes into this song is what makes Anthrax really great. So I think for me, it's a great one.
Cool.
So this is actually their second single. I forgot to mention when we did I Am the Law, I was actually their first single.
Oh, that's right.
Album.
Yep. Okay.
That I Am the Law, when they released it, didn't chart in the US, but it did make it the UK singles to number 32, which I'm like, wow. And then they had I Am the Man as the B-side, because it was supposed to be on this album, but they thought it didn't work with this, and then eventually it became a hit when they released it as an EP later on.
What's interesting? What's interesting about I Am the Law is that I should have mentioned is that when I saw the Metallica and Anthrax show I saw in '86, which was obviously before this album came out, they played I Am the Law. That was already in the set, and obviously nobody knew it because the EP wasn't released, and everyone was like, "Wow, what is this?" And I remember it being, it was a long time ago, but I remember being like, "Wow, what's this song?" But everyone dug it, even though they didn't know it. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
nice.
So this got released as a single, didn't chart anywhere except the UK and Finnish. UK made it to number 44. On the B side of this was a cover of Sabbath's Bloody Sabbath, which is interesting. And then Taint by Stormtroopers of Death.
Oh, yeah, that's Scott Ian's little project.
Fucking Taint. What the fuck? Anyways, Indians, I remember the song, I remember the video, and you're right. So when I hear this album and I hear how choruses go and gang vocals go, it throws me off because that's not how Indians was.
Right.
It's the only chorus that is a little bit melodic.
Yep.
It's not Indians, cry for the Indians. The fucking guy's just screaming back shit.
No, there's actually some harmony and melody going on there.
No, exactly. Yeah. So that's how I remembered it. I remembered the video. I think the song is pretty decent. I don't, again, the solos, switch them up. I don't know who, for any other song, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Obviously, there's some talent there, but, they want to do a song about the Indians like a lot of people did back then. God bless them.
Yep.
Then they did a video for this. Anybody want to start on that?
Hair.
The video is, Nige, you go ahead. You're our special guest. You go ahead.
Hair is my one.
Oh my God.
Was my one big note was like seeing Scott Ian with hair, because he's so famous for being bald. Long beard. But so it's not like I'd forgotten that he had hair, but it's like there's so much hair. Charlie, loads of hair.
Receding hairline is with, you can see
it is already it is already receding. Yeah. You're right. But yeah, Charlie, loads of hair. Frank Bello, loads of hair. To be fair, he's still got quite a lot of hair, but there's just hair everywhere. But I just think otherwise, I think it's kind of pretty. It sets it. The presentation already sets them apart because they're not all just wearing black, right? Yep. So I think already they're wearing board shorts. Charlie's wearing board shorts. Scott Ian's wearing cargo shorts, I think, and there's the kind of.
But even Spitz though if he was in a hair metal band, you wouldn't know the difference. He's a good-looking guy, although he's probably about 4'7". He's got a hair metal band look, wearing skateboarder clothes.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but it's I think it's kind of a funny video, but it's pretty standard sort of performance video for the time. I think it's sort of jumping off riders and risers and looking at mugging at the camera and that kind of stuff. It's kind of fine. I don't think it's groundbreakingly brilliant video. It's not like Metallica's One, which was the following year.
No, it's like those. But there's nothing beats when Joey Belladonna comes out with the friggin' headdress. I mean, dear God. And that is like a full-blown fucking
Like
headdress.
Johnny Busick holding the Boston Bruins Stanley Cup.
Chief.
Yeah. I will tell you, though, when you see that band,
Yeah.
they do not look like a badass metal rock band.
Not at all.
When you see Judas
Yeah.
Priest and you see
Yeah.
that dual guitar attack with the two main guitar players, Tipton and Downing, and they're both rocking back and forth, like you're like, wow, this is fucking heavy. Or Maiden, right? When you see these goofy guys that are about 5'1" and 4'8", wearing fucking shorts, skateboard
And
uniforms,
like fucking Earl Campbell jerseys or whatever the fuck they're wearing.
they don't look like rock gods.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the look early on when Alice in Chains came out. They looked like they would wear shorts. They would wear like they didn't look like they didn't know how they wanted to. They weren't grungy yet, but it was like that transitional phase of
Big,
like metal
thick,
and grunge.
white socks.
Yeah, like it was weird. It was like they didn't know what they want. They didn't know what they wanted to look like. But yeah, it's definitely interesting because I don't think anybody in the band had like jeans on or like boots or anything,
or like leather pants or anything. It was just fucking skateboarder hockey jerseys and receding hairlines.
Yeah, fucking billabong, fucking board shorts, like fucking.
And you know, the other thing, sorry, I should have mentioned about the headdress. I don't know if you know the story about that, but
go ahead.
I don't know the exact details, but you have a friend who will know because the person that sourced that headdress was Eddie Trunk.
No shit.
Oh,
I don't know. I can't remember. He's told the story.
That I don't know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's told the story a number of times, and I can't remember the details. But Eddie was instrumental in finding that headdress and giving it to them for the
Where
video.
the fuck did that? Zeus is laughing.
I'm
What happened?
laughing because I'm thinking of something else. I think it looked like it went Zubaz Vans.
Zubaz. Yeah.
And Vans. Do you remember? You know what Zubaz are?
Okay, so in the 80s, there were these pants, and they came in like zebra stripes, like leopard skin, but they had like weird, crazy colors and like patterns, and they were huge. They were huge in like sports with like athletes would like if you were like a Dolphins fan,
There you
you'd get
go.
like
Nige.
yeah, there you go. They're like Zubaz pants.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
And there was like one poster where all these N.F.L quarterbacks all had like Zubaz of the colors of their team. It was the most embarrassing photo.
Yeah, you got like Bernie Kosar with his afro wearing brown and orange Cleveland Brown Zubaz pants, like a Jim Everett standing there with
with Van like fucking skateboards.
They're absolutely.
It was not what you would
idiots.
call a handsome look.
Zubaz.
No.
Love it.
We finally found something that's worse than Paul Stanley's Asylum look.
Oh yeah. Oh god, yeah. Please.
Yeah. Yes. Anyway, let's move on and we'll get to the next track, song number 7.
One World. So this is another song which I keep calling these like fake intros where you kind of get like this really great like pummeling riff with the drums and it sounds good and it's like and then all of a sudden it does the little the bait and switch. It goes into the thrash and then another tempo change. It goes mid tempo. Then the bridge to the chorus gets back into thrash. The chorus here kind of loses me because you got the almost like the marching, like the 1, 2, like you got that kind of back and forth, more call and answer. This song, it's not that it's a bad song. I think there's just so much happening in this song at such a frenetic pace. It just doesn't. It doesn't really work for me. This song. This has always been one that I don't skip it because I like Anthrax, but this one has always been kind of a whacked out one for me on this album, Nige.
Yeah, I've got to agree. I think that this is, loads of thrash bands around this time were doing those kind of nuclear war, end of the world type songs, and it was just a bit cliched. And
yeah,
so I think the lyrics are pretty clunky, particularly the last verse, which reminds me of Sting. Russians, don't do the Russians love their children too? It's
Oh
like,
God, yes.
yeah. So I just think pretty clunky. I think again, the riffing is fine. There's a really cool riff around just before a minute. The riffing is fine, but I think that the solo section doesn't really change anything up. It's just kind of there. And I think the chorus on this one is weak. I would say this is like I would say the chorus on this one is probably more of the first kind of genuinely weak moment, properly weak moment on this album. So yeah, this is the only thing I really love, again, which I didn't really notice until I listened to it probably really closely on headphones, is again Frank Bello giving it the proper kind of Steve Harris gallop under the opening riff, which is just absolute, again, something you wouldn't really expect, because most thrash bass players would just kind of be following the riff there, but he's doing something counterpointing the rhythm, and it's just awesome. But overall, yeah, the song's a bit of a miss for me.
Yep.
I think it starts with Arnold saying something. Stop it! I think that's the first lyric. But this is big on the chorus. One world, world, welcome to it. One world, don't abuse it. I don't know. Actually, I don't think the chorus is that bad because it sticks in my head.
Because you can hear it, you can understand it.
Usually some of these songs I have to play it back. I'm like, what's that song go again? How's that go again? But this one, I kind of remember it. Not bad. I thought the chorus actually stood out a little bit because it's memorable. But just another general track, which I don't think of a lot. And let's go to the next one. Song number 8.
So this is A.D.I. and then into horror of it all. So A.D.I. it's a nice little acoustic intro. Vocals don't really kick in until about the 3-minute mark. So I kind of like that acoustic, that little piece there. And this song was written in honor of Cliff Burton, who was tragically killed. And it was kind of during this tour, the Puppets tour, when it happened. And there's some quotes from the band member how, the whole thrash community was obviously devastated. Obviously metal fans were devastated in general. So this song was kind of written, the horror of it all. I actually like this song because after the acoustic break and the proper song starts, I like it. It speeds up near the end. They can't get through a song without giving you a little bit of thrash, because that's what they do. I kind of like this song. I don't understand, the 3-minute intro. It kind of reminds me of like Rock Bottom, where they spend half the song doing the acoustics before the song starts, which obviously I love, by Kiss. But I like this one. It's unique. It's a little bit, kind of progressive, quote unquote, for something that Anthrax would do. So I do like this one. It's different from what we've heard, I'd say, Nige.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously it's got a heavy subject matter. Yeah, and I think again, I'm not sure Joey's vocals delivery, style really matches the sort of heaviness of what they're trying to convey. Yep. And I think apparently Scott was increasingly getting annoyed with as Scott's lyrics became more personal from this album onwards, particularly. I think he got more annoyed not annoyed, but he got frustrated that Joey wasn't kind of conveying the feelings that he wanted to convey, that Scott wanted to convey through the lyrics. And that eventually led to him being, asked to leave the band. And I think this may be one song that maybe Scott felt that he didn't do it justice, because obviously this was an extremely, devastating event for the thrash community generally, but particularly for Anthrax, because they were on tour with them at the time, so they were right there. They were at the hotel when James Hetfield and Kirk Hammett came back to the hotel after they discovered that Cliff had been killed. And obviously, James, I can't even imagine what that would be like. So they were right in the middle of that whole nightmare. So anyway, but yeah, I think, I quite like the acoustic intro. It's something they've done before on a song called Armed and Dangerous, which is on Spreading the Disease, the previous album. I like that. I think it gets, even after that, though, I think it takes a bit too long with that kind of the chugging bit. I think it takes a bit too long to get started. And then when it does get started, I agree it's somewhat progressive, but I just think it doesn't ever really kind of get going. I think the chorus is a bit weak. It's not bad, but it's not it's a bit, whoa, the horror of it all. It's just a bit it's just kind of a bit lazy. It's a bit disjointed, I think, until I think when it speeds up, 6 minutes in, you suddenly get the sort of the thrash moment, and I think that again is just absolutely ripping along for the rest of the song. I think what Charlie is doing here is just genius because the riff stays pretty much the same, but Charlie just mixes up the beats, which means that the riff is constantly moving, even though the riff isn't actually moving. It's the drums under the riff. It's under the riff that just give it a different flavor, and that's what makes Charlie so brilliant, that he's able to sort of, in the same way that Neil Peart, right? The same way that Neil Peart, his drumming becomes an instrument rather than just the rhythm.
Yep.
And I think Charlie does that here particularly. He makes the riff move just by changing the way that he's playing the rhythm. So overall, I think the song's a bit average, but it's got some great bits to it.
Mm-hmm.
And what is ADI?
What does it stand for?
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't know. I tried. I couldn't, unless you can find it. I couldn't find it. I couldn't. I tried to find it. The only thing I could find was with the subject matter. I couldn't find what ADI stood for.
I actually don't know either.
Yeah.
None of us know what ADI meant. I just looked it up on ChatGPT. ADI says it stands for a band's joking internal nickname for the instrumental intro to the song, Arabian Douche Intro.
What the fuck does that mean?
Anybody who knows the answer, if that's correct or not, let us know. But that's what ChatGPT says, the horror of it all.
And ChatGPT doesn't lie, so.
No.
So as I usually do when I listen to these albums, I don't put on lyrics until towards the end. So when I listened to this, and then I looked up the info on this album, and I see that this is about Cliff Burton's death.
Yep.
Like, that doesn't match what I thought this song was about.
Nope.
This is somewhat like almost cheery. Whoa,
it's a horror.
Yeah, I'm like waiting to go, whoa, you give love a bad name. Like, it sounds like popish metal. It doesn't sound like a serious song.
100%. It's like, dude, Cliff Burton died, and you're like, whoa, summertime girl.
So my thinking is, like, if I'm doing a song about Cliff Burton's death, I'm thinking of a Metallica, like, Sanitarium.
Yeah,
where like these like
dark,
eerie, dark, like melodic intro, and then it gets heavy, or something like that it just gets into the real anger, and you can hear it in the music and stuff. Nothing is my greed turns to anger. Whoa,
so true.
I know.
It's so true.
And I saw those black lace panties, and I knew that it was you. I had no idea what this was about, and I can only imagine. Like, when they're like, okay, we're going to do a song about Cliff Burton, and Metallica's like, oh, man, thank you for honoring him.
And then they play this.
What the fuck is this, dude?
I can picture fucking...
No, we're all set. We don't need to play this at his funeral. We're good.
James Hetfield goes, did Joey Belladonna just go, whoa?
Exactly. Oh, just... rock now, rock tonight. It sounds like Europe. It doesn't go with what this song is about. I would expect something really emotional or something heavy and aggressive.
But Joey
can't to one or two things.
I don't think it matters what kind of song they wrote. His vocals can't convey that type of energy. They just can't. They can't do it. Can't do it.
I don't know. It just doesn't match.
I agree.
All right. Let's go to the last song.
Imitation of Life. And I feel bad because I promised myself I would try to not make Joey the punching bag here, but this is another song when he starts saying there's nothing I hate more than all these plastic people with all their plastic promises and all their plastic deals. Okay, you are not conveying what you're trying to tell the listeners with and then when it starts to speed up, when it shifts gears with the tempo change, no one said that Joey Belladonna should not do that fire alarm squeal when he's like, oh, like I don't know, man. Look, in defiance of Joey's vocal limitations, I think it speaks volumes about how classic this album is. this is not a bad song. I just don't like what Joey is doing vocally, and to me, it makes it kind of a tough listen because I like how it starts off. It's like da na 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 na, like it's got a good vibe to it. I just think Joey is a little bit of a liability here for me, Nige.
Yeah, I mean, it just he doesn't bother me too much on this one as much as on some of the other ones. I must say. You know, I think I love the riff of I love the riffing in this song. I mean, I've said that about every song, but I think apparently originally this was an SOD song that didn't make it to the SOD album, which I didn't know. And actually, when you hear that, you mean certainly that opening riff is like that. That totally could have been on the SOD album. So I understand that totally. Again, it's like really fucking fast, this song, and again, but it doesn't ever get messy because of Charlie's fucking rock solid and Scott's rock solid as well. I like the sentiment of it. You know, I like the idea that it's a bit of a dig at the music industry and the shallowness and the awful sharks in the industry. There's a bit of a dig at the hair metal scene, which, you know, 14-year-old me loved because 15-year-old me absolutely loved because, you know, I was kind of, I did like some hair metal, but broadly speaking, I found it all a bit silly, you know. But hey, Thrash was pretty silly as well. But hey, you know, the solo here is actually really weird. I find this solo kind of odd because it doesn't sound like any of the solos on the rest of the album. It's kind of really atonal. So I think he was trying to do something different. I'm not sure it necessarily works any better, but I think it's at least different.
Yep.
But yeah, you're right. I think the vocals don't quite track properly. I think generally, I don't think it's as bad as on some of the other songs, but I think this one, the vocals don't quite get there, and I think it's lacking the sort of real killer hooks that a lot of the other songs have got. So for me, it's a good song, but again, not quite a great song, I don't think.
Okay.
Imitation of Life. This one, like all the songs, there's good musicianship, good riff and stuff. This one is very forgettable to me.
Yes.
I have to remember how this fucking goes. And even the chorus doesn't work. All I remember is that every once in a while he'll go, "Ah!" Like, what
That's what I remember.
is that?
Me too.
Okay, we get you can do that. But what does that have to do with what you're singing?
Right.
Where in the lyrics or where in the emotion should that part come out? It doesn't seem like it fits. So I don't know what to tell you. This song doesn't seem bad, but it's certainly not very good.
Yeah.
So these are the 9 songs on this album. I will end with this. I'm glad I got this to listen to this through and give it a chance. I'm still not a Thrash fan. I don't dislike this, but it's for me. It's just the musicianship's there. It's very Rush-like to me. Although I'm not even sure. I probably would listen to this music before I would listen to Rush music. Belladonna's voice it's not bad. It certainly isn't that witch's voice.
God, fucking unbelievable.
But the musicianship's off the charts. I'm interested in seeing what Charlie does. I don't remember a single guitar fucking part to this solo. The lyrics are pretty good. I'm glad we gave this a shot, and interested to hear what you guys say and how we rank this.
Yeah, so I'm glad we picked it. I mean, like I said, I've been listening to this on and off over the years, but one of the things I really love about when we do ARC is really spending deep dives with these albums, listening to them over and over again and picking out little nuances, things that you missed or forgot or never knew existed. I love the album. I still love the album, and for all the things that I have problems with, primarily some of what Joey does on some of the songs, but to me, I think when the songs are that good, and I think that's the strength of this album, is that I think they can survive some of Joey's liability there vocally. That I think some of these songs are that fucking good that they can still last. And I'm glad we did this album. I've always been a fan of it. Nige.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the reason I'm here, I've been a Thrash fan since I was 13 years old, which is a long time ago. For me, I think this album is absolutely everything that makes Anthrax is in this album. I think everything crystallized onto this album, what they were trying to do, right? the fact that they don't just rely on extreme speed, but they have these slower mosh parts, which not many bands were doing before then, but after then, a lot more of them did. I think because they saw what happened with the crowd. The crowd didn't just go nuts on the fast bits; they went nuts on the breakdown with the slower bits as well, right?
Yep.
It's got generally speaking great hooks, which again, lots of say lesser thrash bands didn't know how to do, right? They just thought that doing fast riffing was enough, but it's not, because look, at the extreme end, there's a reason why Metallica got so famous. It's because they wrote the best songs and wrote the best hooks. And I think Anthrax, there's a reason why they're up there as well. It's because they did know how to write songs and craft choruses and put hooks into their songs. So overall, I think it's, and the mixture of the, taking one part Judas Priest, one part, the sort of the thrash thing, and then one part sort of the punk New York hardcore thing, which Scott particularly was really into that scene. So I think the mixing of everything together, it was so good on this album. That said, it's not my favorite Anthrax album. There's one that's better.
Which one?
The previous one, Spreading the Disease.
Spreading the Disease.
Spreading the Disease, for me, they never did it better than that. And one of the reasons is I think Joey Belladonna sounds better on Spreading the Disease than he does on this. I think his vocals sound absolutely brilliant on Spreading the Disease. I think the riffs are great. The playing is like everything's in place. Everything's in place. Plus, it's got Joey, I think, sounds on top form. And for me, thrash always sounds best when it sounds like a train that's about to go out of control, right? But never quite does. The best band that ever do that is Slayer, of course, right? Dave Lombardo just makes it sound like it's about to just all collapse into a heap, but because Dave Lombardo's so good, it never does. It just sounds it's always moving forward all the time.
Yep.
And for me, Spreading the Disease has that quality more than this album does. And that's not to say that this album hasn't got other great qualities, but for me, Spreading the Disease is slightly better. But this is still a fucking fantastic album.
Nice. Cool.
All right. So what we're going to do next is we're going to rank these.
All right.
So let's go to song number 9. Tom, you want to lead us off?
Yep. So I always do my little preface before we do the rankings. So
I like everything except I have to rank them somewhere, right?
Yeah, well, but this is a very top heavy album. Plus, there's only 9 songs, so I guess it's not really fair to say that. But all that aside, number 9, I'm going Imitation of Life. Nige, what do you got at number 9?
My number 9 is One World.
Okay.
9 for me is Imitation.
Okay. Number 8 for me is One World.
8 for me is A.D.I. Horror of It All.
I would say that's the same for me.
Okay. That's my number 7, Horror of It All.
Number 7 for me is Imitation of Life.
Wow. Okay. Number 7 for me, I'll go with One World.
Okay. So we kind of agree on the bottom 3. And now I think this is where we'll get interesting. So this is where I had this is where it was tough for me with the rankings. But number 6, I'm going to do Skeleton in the Closet.
Yeah. 6 for me is N.F.L.
Oh, nice fucking ranking.
I'm going to go with Nige on that as well. I'm not a big fan of that. No.
Correct fucking ranking.
God damn you, man. Number 5 is I Am the Law.
What? Oh my God.
I love, but these top 5, 6 songs, I love them all.
I agree. I think 1 to 6 are all great. 7, 8, 9, less great.
Yep.
What about you? 5. 5 for me, Skeleton in the Closet.
Okay.
Same for me.
4 for me is the title track, Among the Living.
Yep. Same for me.
Okay.
All right. Caught in a mosh.
Oh, okay. That's my number 3.
That is also my number 3.
All right. So my number 3 is Indians.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's my number 2.
My number 2 is I Am the Law.
Okay.
All right. So number 2 for me is I Am the Law.
Number 1 for me is Nice Fucking Life, N.F.L.
Wow. Hot take. my number 1 is Indians.
Okay.
And mine is Among the Living. I love that riff.
Ooh, nice. Awesome. Okay. Nice little mix there. I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that closes the book on Among the Living, as they said in Major League. Thank God. No. So what we do next is we do this. All right, Tom, let's start with you. What makes you rock hard?
Okay, so my son discovered a really awesome documentary. So my son and I we're into all different kinds of music. And one little niche category that we have that's kind of interesting, I guess, is that we're a big fan of movie scores. Okay, particularly John Williams.
Oh,
okay. Everybody knows John Williams. So there's a documentary on Disney Plus, and it's titled Music by John Williams. And I think it's 90 minutes or 90 minutes maybe. And it's a documentary about John Williams's life and all of the scores that he's done, interviews with him, his family, interviews with Steven Spielberg, because he's done a ton of Spielberg movies. And it's really, really well made. And it's very like emotional when you look back. I mean, we're all about the same age. So we all grew up with Star Wars, with Indiana Jones, with E.T., with Jaws, with Close Encounters, with, and then some of these other, movies that might not be super famous. Of course, Harry Potter and Home Alone, and just, it's really, really well made. And we had just a really great time watching it. I highly recommend it. Even if you're not into scores, but you're into John Williams, you love his themes, you love the movies that he's done music for. So I highly recommend that. It's called Music by John Williams.
All right, Tom, I got to jump in.
Yeah.
Never mind Jaws' infamous theme.
Yeah.
Never mind Star Wars theme.
Yeah.
I might even pick Phantom Menace's Duel of Fates as my favorite John Williams thing he's ever done.
And then Superman. I forgot about the Superman theme.
I was just going to add, that Superman score is so off the charts and so moving.
Yep.
So many scenes, like when his father dies and has the heart attack, or when he just lands and he comes back. It is so, like, I can't explain. I don't know how he fucking does it.
You have to watch
Indiana Jones. It's synonymous. I don't know other movies or other guys that do movie scores that when I think of that movie, I think of the score.
Yep. There's a clip
other than The Godfather.
There's a clip in the documentary where it shows a scene from Jaws when the three of them are all out on the boat, and what the original music was going to be, and they play original music, and it sounded like it was going to be like this, like high seas adventure. It was like this, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then they play it with the John Williams theme, and you're like, there are so many movies that without that theme, the movie would not be the movie. It's just like if you, like me being a horror fan, when they showed the movie Halloween, when John Carpenter showed Halloween to like a test audience with no music, and they were like, this movie's okay. Then they're like, okay, now watch it with my theme. And they were like, this is the fucking scariest movie we've ever seen in our lives. So it's just like kind of the power of what he can do with those movies. It's really, really great stuff. So yeah. Nige, what do you got? What makes you rock hard?
What was the name of your documentary again, Tom?
It's called Music by John Williams.
And where was it? Was it Netflix, did you say?
Disney Plus.
Oh, Disney. Oh, perfect.
Yep.
All right, Nige.
Okay, add that to the list. So my choice is something I tweeted about a few weeks ago, which is the Geddy Lee autobiography.
Yes.
My effing life.
I haven't read it yet.
It's, I mean, for Rush fans, hang on. First of all, I'm going to get one thing out of the way. The cover.
Oh my God.
Is appalling.
It's terrifying. Those are the things that you wake up and have nightmares about.
Yeah, it's absolutely horrendous. It's like whoever picked that cover should be fired immediately. But aside from that, it's like such a fantastic book. And I think that I love rock books anyway. I love rock autobiographies, biographies, and so on.
Yep.
But I think even if you're not a Rush fan, I think you would find lots to love in this book. His voice, even though he's written it with someone else, his voice comes through really clearly in it. So I think you can kind of imagine him saying it. It's very much written as though it's from him, which I think is quite hard to do when you're writing with someone else.
That's awesome.
He's really funny. He's very self-deprecating about what a massive nerd he is.
He actually is.
Does he talk about how like he looks like a witch or how unattractive the band is?
Well, I mean, he talks about the fact he's got an enormous nose and he's not attractive and how his voice really annoys people. I mean, that's the thing.
That's the
I
thing
like
about
him now.
That's the thing I like about him. Like Nige said, he's hilarious. He's self-deprecating. He understands his criticisms and he embraces them. He's a funny dude. He is a funny guy.
But he's very smart, and I think he gives a very honest insight into the pressures of being in a touring band, pressures on home life, marriage, and he's been with his wife for a long time. But obviously, he goes into the.
How about his baseball collection?
Baseball.
He doesn't mention the baseball stuff so much, actually. Which
Really? Oh, wow, that's a huge.
I mean, he does mention it, but it doesn't go into huge amounts of detail into it.
Okay.
He goes into lots of the stuff about his Jewish faith, and obviously, the thing with his parents being in Auschwitz, and which obviously has had a big effect on him. But obviously, he talks about how his relationship with the Jewish faith, which is interesting. Obviously, the bits that just choked me up massively were the chapters towards the end about Neil being sick and then passing away, which he just handles so brilliantly. It's not sort of all kind of Hollywood mawkish, but obviously you feel the enormous amount of love that was there and still is there. So it's absolutely brilliant book, brilliantly written. He's very funny. It's very moving. It's very interesting. Read it. Tom, being a Rush fan, you will absolutely.
I can't believe I haven't. It's kind of a big void in my book collection. So good.
It's brilliant.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's great. So mine is speaking of Disney, I believe it's on Disney Plus. Is a TV show that came out recently in your neck of the woods, and I decided to go back to this because you're on specifically. I'm wondering if you've seen this, and it's called 1,000 Blows. I don't know if you've seen it. So it takes place in East End of London in the 1880s, and it's the beginning of boxing. Not bare naked lace. So good, Tom. Nuts. Bare knuckle boxing, and then when the gloves start coming on and making it a profession. Involved in all this is like women there's this gang of women that are like pickpockets and thieves and all sorts of crazy shit. There's a Jamaican man who comes with his best friend over, and it's a different life than U.S. and now in London, and you show that dynamic it stars a guy named Malachi Kirby, who plays the Jamaican that comes over, Hezekiah, Erin Doherty, who people that listen to the show know I love.
She's awesome.
From the Crown, and she was just in that movie Adolescence. Did you ever see Adolescence?
Yeah, brilliant,
absolutely. And Stephen Graham, who was just in Adolescence with her. And I talked about it. That was a pick of mine a couple months back. Yeah. And this movie came out twice. I'm like, wow, she's starring with him again. It is fan-fucking-tastic. I love the whole London scenery, the ideas of how history back then, and these are based on real people.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure they took liberty with a little bit, but amongst this is the 1880s of London, which I fucking love that stuff. The whole, I think, what is that? Victorian kind of, Jack the Ripper, fucking Dracula shit, of all that kind of imagery that comes with this. It's a fucking great story. And I believe, which I'm like, okay, it's going to end. Okay, wait a minute. There's a second season here? Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
There's a second season coming out as well. Great background, great historical analysis, great acting. It's fucking fun. And I love Stephen Graham ever since he was in Snatch, and then he was in, right? And then he played, and I couldn't believe how well he pulled it off. He played Al Capone in Boardwalk Empire and was brilliant in it. I think he's a fantastic actor. It's hard to take him as a tough guy, but he's fucking jacked in this movie. But he's he looks like Heavy Mayo jacked. He's like a little guy. So it's all about bare knuckle boxing world and the beginning of real boxing. People starting to put on gloves and versus the street punks versus let's try to make boxing a profession and bring some class to it. Great show.
Cool.
I watched it. I'm not sure how many episodes there were. Six episodes. So
nice.
Get through it pretty quick. So anyways, 1,000 blows. Before we leave, Nige, you have a band. I'm sure you have social media accounts. What do you want to share with people that people can find you if they're interested?
Well, yes. I mean, the band we released an EP a couple of years ago, which did really well, which was great. We've been a bit dormant since then. So the best place to find me is on Twitter or X, and I'm just Nige Savage on there. NIGESAVAGE. I don't do Facebook. I don't do anything else. So Twitter's the place to find me.
What's the band name?
Chupacabra.
Ooh, nice.
Named after an X-Files episode, my favorite X-Files episode.
Okay, nice.
I can guarantee. I don't know if you've listened to it or not. I guarantee that Zeus definitely wouldn't like it.
I have not. I'll be honest with you, I have not listened to it yet, but I definitely want to give it. I at least want to give it a shot. So I will
listen to a song called "Burn the Clowns." And if you don't like that, I won't be offended if you think it's terrible.
I won't tell you.
It's your thing.
And what do you play? Lead, rhythm? What do you do?
Well, it was a project just with me and the singer, so I basically did everything apart from the vocal.
Shit. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Lord, you're like the prince of fucking 200 stab wounds.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, Nige, we can't thank you enough. You're a Hall of Famer for a reason. We're glad we had you on. Hopefully, we'll never have to bring you back because that means we'll never have to do another Thrash album. But if we do have to do one, you are the man we're going to think of.
Love it, Nige. Man. This has been a blast. We're so glad we had you on here. This is great.
Thank you so much, guys. It's been a real honor. You know that your podcast got me through a really tough time a few years ago. And I love you guys. And thanks very much. And even if I've helped you like Thrash 1% more, Zeus, then I consider this a success.
Love it. Love it.
You're the best. All right. That was the great Nige Savage, Hall of Famer, Shout It Out Loudcast. Tom, what we do is we actually now rank the album covers and then the album itself.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
All right. What's your top 5 album covers right now?
Top 5 album covers at number 5, Rage Against the Machine, Blizzard of Oz, Purple Rain, Master of Puppets, Diary of a Madman. I really like this album cover, and I like how it has some connections to some Stephen King things, some horror things, like we talked about with Nige. It's not really in-your-face, graphically violent or, grotesque like some of the metal albums were of this time. It's more subtle, and I like that. I'm going to actually put the cover at number 14 for me.
Oh, wow. That's high.
Yep.
All right. Well, Tom, for me, my top 5 right now are Diary of a Madman, Appetite for Destruction, Blizzard of Oz, Hotel California, and Elvis and MTV, NBC TV special. I am going to put this at number 22, right underneath Who's Next and above Rocks.
Okay.
I think it's a very good cover.
Yeah, very cool. Yep.
Now we go to album ranking, Tom.
All right. Number 5 for me, High and Dry, Shout at the Devil, Purple Rain, Moving Pictures, Master of Puppets. Now, I like this album. I don't listen to it every day, and it's not the kind of album where you're going to be like, you know what? I think I'm going to put on Cotton a Mosh while I cook a steak on the grill. Like, I'm just not going to do that. So, as much as I do love the album, its replayability for me is going to kind of kick it down kind of lower for me. So, I like it.
Okay.
But it's going to go at number 44 for me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Above White Snake 87.
Yes.
And underneath Slide It In.
Correct. Yeah, I'm not punishing Slide It In anymore. That poor album stuck at 43.
All right. Among the Living is number 44 for Tom. My number 5, top 5 backwards from number 5 to 1 is Blizzard of Oz, Hotel California, Automatic for the People, Purple, and Elvis NBC TV special. I am
ring the bell backwards. Ring it back. Come on, don't make Rush. I know this is going to be last.
See, this is the problem. I look at it as, how am I going to rank this? There's nothing on this album that's terrible.
Yeah, but there's nothing on this album that you're ever going to seek out. If it comes up, and if it comes up on shuffle, you're going to skip it.
I might. So if Moving Pictures came on, Tom Sawyer came on, I would play that.
Right.
Right? I
Right.
would play it before anything on Among the Living. Even Winger, which I have at 63,
Yeah.
17,
I know.
I would play that.
That's what I'm talking. That's
Even
why.
look what the cat dragged in.
At least it has Talk Dirty to me. I know you. This is not.
I don't even know what's on Heat 2. How is it ahead of these things? I'm not seeking out anything on Operation Mindcrime.
Oh,
Bad English, I know those top 10 hits, cheesy as fuck. But even Hail to the King, there was one song in there, I think it was the title track I liked.
yep. There's nothing you're coming back to on Among the Living. I know you.
No, there's not. So I don't hate the album. I'm putting it at 65 last.
Yeah. Something's got to be last. Something's got to be last.
And then this is the thing. How are we grading albums?
Correct.
Right?
But that's why I ranked it really low. I like this album. I own this album. I really like it, but it's just not the kind of album where I'm going to put it on if there's people hanging out, if I'm hanging out like on the deck with it's not that kind of album where if it comes on shuffle, I'll be like, I don't know if I'm in the mood for Skeleton in the Closet today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it sounds like what Lewis says. She's not that kind of girl, Booger. Why? She got a penis? Like, I look at this as like,
you don't have to explain yourself.
No, I guess I'm just trying to be like, I don't fucking hate this. It shouldn't be last, but there's not one song here that I'm like, I got to listen to this.
Look, I know you and I know the kind of music you like and vice versa. If this was not last, this would have been the biggest shock of the century. I knew as soon as Patreon picked this album that you were going to rank this last. And that's fine.
Fucking still let this thing go through Patreon just to let you know. But I'm thinking out loud, like, the fuck do I like on Wasp that's better than this?
Oh, come on. School Days? Come on. Fuck Like a Beast? Come on, man. That's a fucking great album. The Torture Never Stops.
Oh, fucking God. Anyway, let's move on, Tom. Where can people find us?
So we are Shout It Out Loudcast. If this is your first time listening to us, we are usually an all Kiss podcast, dropping Kiss episodes every Saturday. But we also have a bunch of sidecasts, including this Album Review Crew. Once a month, we review a non-Kiss album. And this time it was our Patreons that picked this one. But you can check us out at shoutitoutloudcast.com and learn all about us, including all of our social media links. We're everywhere. Please find us. And, of course, our email at shoutitoutloudcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you think about Anthrax, what you think about Among the Living, et cetera, et cetera. And we always like to say that we're a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast network of shows.
All right, Tom, well, we end on famous last words. You got any?
Wake up dead in a plywood bed, 6 feet from the rest of your life. And when you couldn't see your own dependency, N.F.L, nice fucking life. Shamatsuda said,
stop it. There's been too much debate. We could save ourselves from a Holocaust.
Oh.
Or is that just our fate? Oh,
okay, Joey Bello. What'd you call him? Joey Buttafuoco.
Joey Buttafuoco. What
Joey
the
Bag
fuck?
of Donuts.
Anyway, hey, Nige Savage, Hall of Famer. Thank you, Tom, Loudcasters, fucking Anthrax tards. Fucking can't wait. Thank you.
Guys, you're awesome. I love this pick. It was a lot of fun. Nige, thank you so much for joining us. I loved your take on this as a musician, quote unquote. It was a ton of fun having you on. And yeah, Indian tards, N.F.L tards, Anthrax tards, enjoy. And Zeus, as always, my friend, thank you. And I want to say this episode will be dropping on your birthday. So I am ending it with a birthday wish now.
Happy birthday to me. Here's Among the Living to review. Thanks.
His imitation of life.
Peace out, Girl Scout.
Shout it